Oh, it's gonna be a good night.
This looks like an owl.
It does, it's wise.
I'd like to welcome everybody to our regularly scheduled DSS meeting. That was moved from the first of the month. Just a reminder to those among the board and those in attendance, please silence your mobile devices, and I will ask. I like Commissioner Roberts, please lead us in invocation.
Absolutely. Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for giving us this opportunity to come together, Lord. I just pray, Lord, you be with our decisions that we discuss and make, Lord. I pray, Lord, you continue to bless this county as we go through, and Lord, continue to bless each and every household, Lord. I just thank you for all the things you do for us. Lord, I just love you. Thank you for all the things you do. I favor Jesus' name. Amen.
I'll ask for county manager to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Stand, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 5 is the ethics awareness and conflict of interest reminder. Having a chance to review that. This is about your opportunity not to disclose any ethics or conflict of interests that you may have with the agenda. Hearing none, item number 6 is additions or changes to the agenda. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda tonight? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion that we adopt the agenda as it's presented.
So moved.
I had a motion from Harley and a second from Clayton. All those in favor, vote by usual sign. And then item number 8 is appointments. So it's for chairman and vice chairman.
Yes, sir, you can coordinate that, or you can yield the floor to Mr. Cook to run that if you prefer. Either one.
So we're going to do the appointments of the chairman, and I think in the past that Mr. Pittman has served as the chair. And do I have a motion that we entertain anybody as the chair of this DSS board?
I make a motion that Brandon Pittman is chair.
So moved. Any discussion? I think Mr. Pittman's done a great job on that. So hearing no discussion, do I have a motion?
Second, sorry.
What's that?
I got a motion.
Okay, motion. Do I need a second? Yes, thank you.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say it by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, with that said, Brandon, you're here.
A moment of personal privilege. I appreciate you guys trusting this position and me in this position. Again, another term. I would be amiss if I didn't brag on DSS and the great job that they do. And it's a pleasure to work with those folks and look forward to doing it another term.
Thank you.
So-
Meeting back over to you, Mr. Pittman.
Thank you, sir. Item B under 8B is vice chairman. And I believe that Steve has served as our vice chairman for the past couple of terms. I'll open up the floor to nominations for vice chairman.
So if he's not here, I'll nominate Steve.
I will second. All those in favor, vote by usual sign. Motion carries. Mr. Pittman will continue to serve as vice chairman. Item number 9 is the approval of the minutes from June the 5th. Entertain a motion that you approve those minutes as they're prepared.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, vote by usual sign. And item number 10 brings us to our director tonight. We'll invite Director Boone to come forward and give us her update.
Thank you. Okay, so once again, just kind of some updates of happenings up on the Hill. As far as Medicaid expansion, we are still uncertain as far as the rollout date for that, but we are preparing and staff are going through some trainings and that sort of thing to kind of get ready. for that when it does occur. And we were told that it would not roll out until the budget is passed, which, as we all know, is still not happened. So we're kind of in that waiting game. We did have our law enforcement and MDT team meetings last month. And we were so fortunate to have our senior Tar Heel represented there at our meeting last month. And she shared some information with the group on happenings in Raleigh and how she is advocating for the county as far as funding and that sort of thing. So that was really great for her to be there and share her story. And I appreciate her being here tonight. As far as the child support program, I wanted to let you know that Mitchell County was the highest in the state for the month of May in percentage of collection of dues from our parents.
Congratulations.
So that was pretty great for us, as well as second in the state for collection of arrears. And so that is those unpaid child support or past due payments. So that was pretty good for us. Pretty proud. Also for our CIP funds, you know, in the winter season, we have the heating and that sort of thing. In the summer, we have the air conditioning fans. And that has ramped back up. And we just were allocated some funding for that, around $7,000 for that. So if they meet that definition of a crisis situation and with a medically fragile, that sort of thing, they can be eligible for assistance in purchasing a air conditioner or a fan, as well as helping to pay for their electric bill if it were to be cut off for their air. So we just want to make sure folks are aware of that as we finally heating up a little bit. You know, it's getting warmer. It's been kind of rainy and cold, but now it's starting to ramp up for the summer. As you see, Tammy is not with me tonight, so she asked that I go ahead and give a brief update for the financial report. And she said, of course, you know, the expenses and revenues have slowly been trickling in June, so there wasn't really like a full report to give this time. She said that that the June revenues will fully come in the end of July, and once we have all that posted, we'll have a full report as well as a year report that we'll share at the August meeting. So she wanted me to pass that along for you. So, one other thing is we also, when we met in May, we talked about the subsidy changing to the contract agency Southwestern Child Care Commission, and we did enter into contracts that was signed, and we have shifted that completely beginning July 1. So we have mailed out notices to our current clients. We've put that message on Facebook. We have met with our child care centers about that. And a letter was mailed out to all of our current clients, letting them know of the new contact information and how to reach that. And there wouldn't be any changes with their current subsidy. It's just a different provider. So we'll monitor that, you know, for the year. We'll be checking in with them ongoing still. We do have the paper applications at the office still. If folks want to come in and get an application there, we'll facilitate that referral. And I did also add that in the letter and the website, so folks know if they want to apply for childcare, they can do that with us still. We'll just send it on. But we thought, you know, since we don't have a presence in the county, it would at least be nice to have an application there that they could pick up. So, but I think that's it as far as updates, unless you guys have some questions.
Any questions for Director Boone? Mr. John Block.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'll go over some numbers. As you can see, we've had an uptick in the number of kids we've have in foster care. We're up to 44. We're seeing a trend right now where we're having several cases where we're having to take custody. We're actually having to take custody of 3 kids this evening. So it's just part of it. Not able to mitigate all those risk factors in all those cases, and so we're having to take more custody than what we've had to in recent months. So We'll still have a little bit of an uptick in that in the next year, in the next month's report as well. We're able to close one case last month, which was good. We currently have 3 families in the foster care training program. So we have 12 families currently licensed, and we have 3 in the process. Actually handed Wendy one to sign off on today. So those are proceeding through the process fairly quickly. As far as the number of reports, so for June, CPS had 16 reports come in. 9 of those were screened in, and at the end of the month, we had 14 open assessment or investigation cases going on, which is quite. We've been averaging quite a high number. That's just simply because of the number of cases coming in. We have currently 2 in-home cases as well in CPS. APS, we've seen a little bit of a drop in the number of calls in June to 7, but we screened in 6 of the 7, which has pretty much been a trend that we've been screening in a large number of those cases. So at the end of the month, we had 5 open assessment cases in APS. We had 6 clients receiving case management services. We had 2 in assistance, special assistance in home. 12 payee clients. We increased to 17 guardianship clients. And then as far as facility complaints, we had 2 facility complaints, and at the end of June, we were finishing up those assessments and those facility complaints. As far as daycare, which Ms. Boone had mentioned that this would be the last month we'll be reporting out on that, but we're at 89 kids in subsidy right now for the county. So we feel like we've done a really good job of trying to serve as many kids as we can in that capacity and support our families and our community. Work first, 2 new applicants came in June, and we still had we're working with 5, so a total of 7 in work first. Any questions?
John, what would be your opinion of the increase of children right now that you're dealing with? It's out, a lot of things going on.
It's really all over the place. It seems to be younger kids for the most part. A lot of domestic violence mixed in with substance abuse, which is basically the trend. It's been the trend for a lot of it, but we're seeing a lot of domestic violence and physical abuse type of situations, kids getting in the middle of the situations and getting injured. And the good thing is that like the 3 kids that we're having to take into custody today, one's going to be with one of the non-offending parents, and 2 of the kids are going to be relatives. So I mean, we're not going to be in a situation where they don't have placement. We've had several cases recently where we're taking custody from one parent, but able to leave the child with another parent who's the non-offending. So we've, although we've had obviously an uptick in some of those kids coming into custody, we've been really successful in keeping kids either with a non-offending parent or with a relative. That's basically the silver lining in the situation is that.
And I was looking at the number of children, and it's remained the same placed out of county.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure there are many factors that go into that.
There is that's probably one of the more aggravating parts of the job is having so many kids out of our own community. We pretty much have been able to pretty much keep that consistent. We haven't had a huge increase in the number of kids going out of our community. A lot of that goes back to, again, our kinship placements and our relatives stepping up and really helping with those types of situations. And if you kind of did, it's been a while since I kind of provided an analysis of our out of county kids, and I might do that next month again, but a lot of those are our older kids and our kids with higher needs, kids in the therapeutic level of care. But I'll try to do a breakdown of that just so we have an idea of where we're at with that as well.
So it's more of an out of county service.
It is when we have older kids, basically, once you have a kid who's over 12, it's almost impossible to find a foster parent that's willing to take it. Teenagers are hard. And asking someone to take on a teenager who's have behavioral problems and stuff like that, that's even a bigger ask. And we've had local foster parents who have who have stepped up and done that for us on a temporary basis until we could find different situations. And so it's, that takes a specialized kind of family that's willing to take on a teenager that's not going to have younger kids in the home, that's going to put their own kids at risk or other younger kids in foster care. And so it's a huge challenge. And that's not only for our own communities across across the entire state, across the entire country. Teenage homes that are, what we call family foster homes are virtually impossible to find. And so that results in them having to be put in group care, and that means either Crossno or Black Mountain is our local, which means it shoves those kids out of our community, which is unfortunate.
Some of those too are relative placements, right? So like,
Yes, we
like
do have.
kids would go to my mom's, which would be in Lincoln County.
And we do have a percentage of that as well as kids that are placed with relatives, but the relatives are either in Yancey or Avery or could be, I think we had one down in Hickory as well, but that case actually closed, so.
Could you possibly give us at next meeting, number of kids that we have placed like in the Cross North School or the Black Mountain Home for Children?
Yeah.
And possibly Tammy, or you could break it down into the financial scheme.
How much it costs like per kid?
Yeah,
After
a
reimbursement.
percentage, what costs Mitchell County and what it does not cost.
Certainly do that.
Thank you.
Here now, I'm on the key lead for anyone in the county interested in foster care.
We were trying to
It-
still just how to beat the bushes for that, and for a small county that we are, the fact that we haven't reached that kind of that target number. We wanted to get to the point where we had about 25 foster homes, and we had a couple identified for teenagers and sibling groups, and we haven't been able to reach that target number of 25. And there's been, circumstances in different situations, people adopt, they don't want to continue to foster, things like that. Family situations change, but, we've always had families in the pipeline. And so that's a huge, thing, is that there's counties that have nobody in the pipeline. At least for us, at least we have, families that are continuously being in the pipeline, and we're getting them through, and we're doing that one-on-one training. So we're wrapping around where their schedule versus them having to fit in our training to their schedule, we're fitting into their schedule, so.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the community basically just does not realize the need or the situation, unless you're actively involved, whether you sit on this board or you have been through the foster parent training, you have no idea. You're, I don't want to say naive, but you don't realize, what's going on. It's secondary thought. And then as you become more knowledgeable or actually put your hands on situations, it's alarming. So, I don't know how you educate people or, get them to sign up, because, it is a big commitment. But you have a lot of people with big hearts that will help.
We have a very supportive, community, and we see that, every time we do outreach or we go places, people are, are willing to help and want to try to help. And sometimes it's hard to fit someone else's kids into your schedule. And that's a huge ask, to shift your entire life around for someone else's kids. And it's hard to do it for a relative versus a complete stranger. So we understand that uphill challenge with that. But, we do thank our foster parents that they're a huge asset to us, and we have a wonderful group of foster parents. And I can't, we can't brag on them enough. And we thank the community for their ongoing support.
It's hard to be a foster parent for the fact, because my wife and I started it and we were able to adopt. I don't know how you could be a foster. It would be very hard to be a foster parent. Get connected to that child. And then that child, be placed back in their normal situation, where it just rips your heart out because you get attached to it, so.
There's a lot of emotion involved.
Oh, yeah.
There is. There's a lot.
Any other questions for? Mr. Button? Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
There are no items for discussion, and there's no need for closed session tonight, so number 13 is a board comments, Commissioner Hart.
Well, here again, I just want to say thank you for what you do. You actually care about your job. It's just not a job where you show up and take a paycheck. That's it. You guys are connected. You can see you care. Wendy, I think you have to be totally impressed with your agency with being number 1 and number 2 in the state of North Carolina. I mean, guys, that's unreal. So great job to you and all your staff.
Jeff, was that not one of our goals a year ago, 2 years ago?
Be one of the best DSS agencies in Western North Carolina and in the state. And I think, Ollie, you're right, that was probably about 2 years ago when we were going through the process. And, you know, I look at 44 compared to 96. I can remember when it was 96 children, not 44 children, and most of them were placed in the cross-border school, or in Raleigh, or in Wilmington, or somewhere far away. So, man, hats off to what you guys do. Personally, I don't know how you do it every day because of the emotional roller coaster that you have to be on or would have to be on. And then sometimes you probably see a situation that you want to address, but legally your hands are tied. So, and now, you know, we're dealing this, you know, it's Norma sitting back there. Man, I'm thankful we've got her that rallies for our elderly on the state, but now we're starting to see an uptick, you know, with that situation. And regretfully, I'm getting close to being there. So, but you know, just good job all the way across the board. I think everybody in the, you know, this room, this Norman, Sean, Wendy, your whole staff, this commission board. Needs a, you know, a great shout out personally.
Mr. Roberts.
I don't have a whole lot to say. I'm just gonna echo a little bit of what he said. As far as having people that are willing to take on the job. That's definitely not taking lightly. I really appreciate people who are willing to take it on, because it's, I mean, as he sit here and talk, you know, emotionally, it's a tough situation. I really appreciate someone who's willing to take it on, and I just don't think I could. I appreciate you all. That job you do.
Mr. Masters.
Well, I could not do what you guys do, but I'm grateful that you guys do it. And I just want to say, I appreciate you being a good leader. I hear nothing but lots of compliments from your staff as they come in and get snacks and stuff. And so I think that's a reflection of from the top down. So thank you. Thank you, Sean.
I'll say this, if I start saying something I'm not allowed to say, somebody wants to make. They've got a tough workload these past couple of weeks. I think Sean's here on 3 hours worth of sleep. And you know, we have a very selfless bunch of public servants up on the hill, and something I saw that really impressed me, I guess this past week, is the commitment to causing the least amount of disruption in a child's life that they possibly can cause. I know there's a child that has a young person that has a job, I don't want to say this, no specifics, so I know our employees have made sure that job is a priority for that young person. You know, a top priority, and it's you know, means that child's goals of becoming self-sufficient one day. And our staff could easily have said that job's not gonna be a possibility anymore, you know, it's extra work and extra burden on us to make sure you're able to get there, but they have made sure that child has gotten to work, that young person has gotten to work every single shift and picked up. And you know, I think that's that kind of speaks to the culture up at DSS, that you know, they do everything they can possibly do to minimize disruptions and you know, there's vulnerable young people's lives. So I appreciate all the work that they are doing and continue to do it. I didn't break any rules, did I? So without anything else, I'll entertain a motion, we adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's good, but I like it.